Well, the Rangers have won 8 of the last 10. Last night was an unlikely loss, though. We talk about it next and get you set for the trade deadline as it gets even closer and closer. Next, it's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Actually could have added one more word to that banner. Rare off night for Jacob deGrom. It was, and it showed in the final result. And the Rangers, a win streak, a 6-game win streak, their tied for their longest of the year is over. It's okay. They can start another one today as they play out there in California again tonight. John Radigan here, Jeff Wilson there. We welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. We've got Kat here, and you think you've seen graphics before. You ain't
seen nothing yet, baby.
You ain't seen nothing yet, baby. We got her competitive fires going. Some of the bosses say, more graphics, more graphics. So, by God, we're going to bring you some more graphics. The strange thing about last night's game is just that Jacob deGrom, he just, had one of those nights, Jeff, which we don't see very often from him.
You don't, and it seems like, if you watch the game, you could tell that he felt like he's having some issues with the mound, and he did the home runs that he allowed were a slider that was thigh high and didn't slide, and a fastball right down the middle. So, even the best pitcher in the world is going to give up some home runs, and he's done that a little more than people probably thought he would this year. But I do have a theory as to why the Angels have had success against Jacob deGrom.
Because they actually did in the previous game on July 7th.
His ERA in 2 starts this year against the Angels, it's 6.97. I did the math last night, so it could be completely wrong. But my theory, and Jacob himself kind of shared this with me after the last one, Travis d'Arnaud is a catcher for the Angels. He has caught Jacob deGrom more than any other catcher in deGrom's career. And so Jacob is a firm believer, and made me a firm believer, that Travis d'Arnaud has some local knowledge, as the caddies like to say, and is able to tell him how he's going to attack him, what the ball looks like out of the hand. Because, you saw in the last start, he threw 95 pitches in 5 innings, and they were just laying off of pitches. He was like, oh, their ball's out of the hand. I was like, and I said to him, yeah, but you get a lot of swings on those pitches anyway. And then he said, well, who's on their roster? Okay. So I think that played a factor again last night. I really do.
That is very interesting, because he actually talked about that again last night with regard to the ones that were ball. He said, I couldn't get the slider. I'm paraphrasing this part. I couldn't get the slider to slide. It was either staying in the middle, or it was a ball out of the hand, right? It was a ball from the beginning. So that's sort of how he feels it's going against them. But there may be also a subconscious thing here, like, okay, d'Arnaud told them what to expect, so I've got to trick it up a little bit, if you will.
And it was interesting because, and I didn't dig into the numbers on this one, but his first batter of the game, first strikeout to Zach Neto, struck him out on a changeup. And Jacob doesn't throw a ton of changeups to right-handed hitters.
No.
So I wonder if that was part of it too. And he had just faced him, and so maybe they wanted to change up the game plan a little bit. But I do wonder if he felt like he needed, do some things differently based on what he thinks is a real thing with
Sure.
his old buddy Travis.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, there's, it's a chess game in many ways. And so very interesting. I like that theory a lot. I also love the fact that Jacob deGrom, even after a night like this, he just stands up and he takes responsibility for it. And I mean, that's what all the good professionals, we call them, do, right? Professionals, they're all standing at their locker afterwards. But in the case of Jacob deGrom, he is not saying anything except, I didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And I love that, even to the point of, yes, that's the slider that he did that didn't slide to the 9th place hitter,
right,
who hit his 2nd home run of the year, right?
Yeah.
But, and he said, he's a major league hitter. If I leave a ball in the middle of the plate, and they were saying, what was it about the slider that wasn't working? He said, it was in the middle. And I think it was, there was probably a lot more writers in LA out there who he's not normally used to dealing with. And so they're probably going back and hammering in and say, well, what was it about the slider? He's like, it was in the middle, right? If it's in the middle, they hit it.
Yeah, there's one guy who works out there. He used to be blonde-headed. Now it's kind of gray, but he would ask the most ridiculous questions.
Is that right?
Yeah, and even he was at the All-Star game last year, I think. I can't remember, or it was a playoff series. I don't remember. And he asked Corey Seager a question. And Corey doesn't like a question, and if it's from somebody he doesn't know, he'll tend to look around at people he does know. And so he kind of looked at me, and the group broke up, and I went, that guy. Oh, he is. It might have been that guy.
It might have been that guy. Yeah. And they know. I mean, and they know city to city who to expect, as we do when we're on the road with the team. It's like, oh, gosh, whenever I'd be in there to do the post-game interview with the manager, I think it was always in Baltimore. There would be a radio guy.
I like that guy, though. He's a good guy.
Is he a good guy?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Well, but he was going to come up right
right there.
And get that microphone right in there.
Yeah.
And it didn't really bother me. I just knew it was going to happen.
It was coming, yeah.
Yeah.
He's still at it.
Yeah, that's funny. So anyway, Jacob deGrom wasn't himself last night. I love, again, that he admits it. Who really wasn't himself last night was this deadgum Kohanowitz. He had a no-hitter through 4 innings.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because his last major league start was against the Rangers, and he gave up 1,000 runs. Got sent down the next day. But when guys get sent down, they get sent down with a purpose, and it looked like, by all reports and commentary, that he was sent down to work on his sinker, get back to what he does well, because he doesn't strike guys out. He's not a strikeout guy. He's a ground ball guy, kind of like Jose Soriano, who's going to pitch tomorrow for them. So you got to get those guys up in the strike zone. But, he did throw some 4-seamers. He threw his changeup more than he had in the past. But these guys are allowed to get better too, and it's a big arm. It really is. He throws it hard.
Yeah.
And the result was, he had a nice outing after, and there was probably some, hey, I'm better than I was last time.
Sure.
I'm gonna show these guys.
I'll show them. But actually, the reality is he'd been bad 4 times in a row. He'd pitched 4 times against the Rangers, and he was 0-4 with a ridiculously high ERA coming into the game. And what was amazing last night, and you're right, clearly he had been working on stuff, but his misses were so off. I mean, the catcher's having to leap up to catch his misses. When he missed, he really missed, and I thought, this guy is just waiting to implode. And I don't guess he ever really did.
Well, it was interesting. As soon as that error was made by the right fielder that allowed the 2 runs to score, that was it. I think maybe they knew, because they had seen, the Rangers dugout complain about the balk.
Yep.
And then, his next 4 pitches weren't even close.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it was kind of a fragile situation.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, I'm out of the inning. Woo. Oh, no, I'm not out of the inning.
Not out of it. Yeah.
So it might have been the right time to go get him, even though the guy who was batting after Adolis Garcia, I don't know, John. I think you might be able to get him out.
I tell you what, he rolls over. I mean, the best thing he can do right now is roll over on,
Yeah.
you know, and he strikes out. He looks completely lost at the plate. Still, his batting average is down to 123.
Yeah. He's 0 for 8. I guess he kind of flirted with a hit yesterday. But, you know, he's swinging at bad pitches. You know, the strikeout after that at bat, you know, and he was given second life too because he popped it straight up, but the catcher couldn't find it. O'Hoppe couldn't find it, and so it just fell. Like, oh man, you really got to take advantage of this.
Sure, yeah.
He struck out. It's kind of maddening, you know, and a lot of people, and we mentioned this yesterday, John. You know, you miss 2 months, and you only get a 2-game rehab assignment.
Sure.
You know, before he got hurt, great. But he was batting 132, and now it's down to 123. And another thing, and I'm not one to say anything about this, he just doesn't look like he's in shape.
He doesn't.
He looks like, he just doesn't look like he's in game shape.
No.
And you know, so it's like, all right, you have a broken hand, can't do anything for 5 or 6 weeks. Well, that's not entirely true. You can still run with a broken
right. You can still get on a treadmill.
Finger.
Yeah,
and apparently he did. You know, the reports are he was working and everything, but he just doesn't look like he's in shape. And you know, DHing is not a physically demanding spot, but nevertheless, you still need to.
Well, and what's interesting about that, and Rarities asks the good question: why is he still hitting fifth when he hasn't found his bat? And it's a good question, although it's only 2 games. So, you know, you're going to give him more than 2 games to figure it out, ideally. But the interesting part that Rarities also brings up, why not put Tellez in instead of him, right? And if you look at the physical structure of Rowdy Tellez, you think he's not in shape, and yet stand next to him or watch him. I mean, he's like a mountain of a man. Right,
yeah, he's built like a lineman.
Yeah, he seems like he is in shape, big as he is, and Joc doesn't.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an issue, and you know the one side of it is this is his 2nd game back after missing. He's gonna get some leash now. He's not gonna play tonight because the Angels are starting a left-hander.
Right.
So you know you won't see Joc in there at least to start the game, but you know. How many at-bats do you give the guy to get right? Because you're in a situation now where you have to win ball games.
Yeah.
That's why Rowdy Tellez is in the major leagues.
Sure.
Because the Rangers looked around when Jake Berger got hurt, and they decided their best option wasn't Blaine Crim or Justin Foscue. It was this Rowdy Tellez fella who was hitting about 200. Now, he was hitting much better.
And had been DFA'd from Seattle.
Yeah, and he was hitting much better away from Seattle. You know, if you look at the numbers, but they want their best 13 guys in there, and I don't know that Joc Pederson's one of their best 13 guys. And if it's let's say they're like, all right, we're going to give Joc 10 days. If after 10 days, and let's say that's 40 at bats, it's no good, you have a decision to make.
Yeah.
And I know they've put a ton of money into him, and you know he's back next year. I don't think there's any way in heck they can trade him.
Nope.
You know, so I just, you know, I think it's going to feel like a long leash here for the next week or 2. But if at the end of that stretch he's terrible, he's got to sit.
And yes, and I believe to Rarity's point, he'll move down in the batting. He won't get that long of a leash before he's down in the 7, 8, or 9 hole.
Right.
For sure. Maybe not 9, 7, or 8. Because you know he's just and look, that's worked. And I saw somebody on Twitter over the weekend talking about, you know what professionals do? Professionals go down to the 7, 8, or 9 spot in the batting order, and they just keep working and they keep working, and they get back to where they used to be, and all of a sudden they're living in the 3 hole like Marcus Semien, right? I mean, he just took his medicine, went down there, kept working, got it done. So. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, there's lots more coming up as we talk about the trade stuff next. There's lots to talk about and not much to talk about, but we'll do both of those things in the next segment because it's nearly trade deadline time. We talk about all the possibilities next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. First, we talk about our friends at Empire Today. We love Empire Today. They are one of the OG sponsors of not only this program, but all the programs on our show. On our DLLS network and the others as well. They're in Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, and Philadelphia because they're a big company worldwide. They have flooring for any need, any specific possibility that you want. They've got it. That's all they do is floors. And you can use their modern technology to just take a picture of a room, show it to them. They will show you different flooring options in that room and how it would look with your furniture and your paint and your draperies or whatever else you might have in there. So do yourself a favor and get your new floors at EmpireToday.com. EmpireToday.com will give you $350 off your new floors if you use the code DLLS.
And you know what you need to do, guys, as somebody who loves hats, I can tell you that Branded Bills, when they say premium headwear, they ain't kidding. All right. I have a TCU hat that's from Branded Bills that is now my wife's hat, it turns out. Funny how that happens.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh man, this is a great hat. And I knew at that point that it was gone. But
Yep.
they're fantastic hats, and they have all kinds of hats. You can get schools, teams, the state you live in. They have a whole variety of Texas, Colorado. Believe me, I've looked at both. So whether you need snapbacks or truckers, fitteds, beanies, which again are called stocking caps, or T-shirts, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand out? Well, they'll make you some custom hats too. Head to brandedbills.com, use the code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order.
All right, so let's get into this trade stuff. And we see one of the questions already in the chat there from Michael is the price for Bednar already getting too high? Look, the reality is the price for all of the relievers right now continues to go up. We mentioned it yesterday. Felix Bautista off the market because he got hurt.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Clase off the market because he's on administrative leave for the gambling stuff. So, yes, the price is going to go higher and higher for these guys. Now, when it comes to Bednar, he's a rental. So
no, he's not a rental.
Oh, he's not a rental.
No.
Oh, that's right. He's got 1 year of control left.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So Bednar's not a rental. Yeah. So the price, prospect price is fairly high.
Yeah, and so yes, is the price too high? The money's not bad. He's only making $5.2 million this season. So, you're figuring a third of that. The Rangers probably have that without having to create any. I was saying this earlier on a show I was on. Cap space.
Right.
It's not cap space because there's no salary cap, but
yeah.
the luxury tax acts as a salary cap. At least that's what the Players Association argues. Anyway, so the Rangers can get him without needing the Pirates to pick up any of that salary. Now it will cost some prospects because he's got that extra year of control. But it is a reliever. It's not like they're trading for O'Neill Cruz,
right?
Or Mitch Keller, the Pirates' best player and pitcher. They're trading for their best reliever, yes, but a reliever who's only making $5.2 million this year. So I don't think it would cost. Obviously, there's no way they're trading Walcott, but none of the top guys. This could be a situation this deadline where the Rangers, probably need to think about finally moving Foscue, Harris, Krim, guys who are blocked but on the 40-man roster. It creates a 40-man spot for the player you'd be acquiring, but also that does save some salary. The 40-man guys count against the CBT, so there's some things to do there. So I'm wondering if maybe those guys aren't in their final days in the organization. I think it makes some sense. Helsley, I saw somebody mention Helsley and the Mike Maddox.
Yeah.
I think Rhonda did that, and the Mike Maddox connection. It is very true, and Mike Maddox really likes Ryan Helsley, who he had in St. Louis. Again, Helsley's not making a ton of money either this year, $8.2 million. So you're a third of that is what, somewhere in the twos,
2.5. Yeah.
So you're probably somebody you can afford, and the Rangers, dealt with the Cardinals recently 2 years ago with Jordan Montgomery. So the Cardinals probably have an idea of what's in the Rangers system already. There might be a built-in advantage there. They know the guys they like. So cost has a couple meanings in this situation. And is the cost too high? I don't think so. I think if the Rangers want the guy, they'll figure out a way to get.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that the Rangers, and Chris Young in particular, know they need this to get done, right? They know they need a closer. I mean, they just need support for the bullpen. But when I see Blake talk about Griffin Jacks, a guy I really like and think could close. No, we don't want a guy we think can close games.
Yeah,
we got guys we think can close games, right? At this point, you're not trading for guys you think can close games. You're trading for guys who have proven closer ability. One of the guys I just brought up to Jeff just before the show started is the closer for the opposing team tonight.
Yeah.
And, Kenley Jansen is 142 years old. Not quite, but no, he's right up in there in the range with, some of the older pitchers today, 37, 38.
He's 30. I think he's a little bit older than Craig Kimbrell, who we've all seemed to forget about.
Yeah, we have forgotten about him.
But Jansen, he got a 1 year, $10 million deal. So you're looking at, let's say $3.4 million.
Yeah, pushing it a little bit,
now,
but not bad.
Do you want to deal with a team in the division? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. Not for a rental, I don't think. If the A's were to make Mason Miller available,
right?
Then you'd probably think of it that way. But and Miller's an interesting guy. I don't know that the A's are looking to trade him. You haven't heard a lot of his a lot of buzz with him, but it would be an A's move. Trade a guy who has 5 years of control left.
Yeah,
they could probably get something pretty good for him. Again, not Sebastian Walcott good,
no,
but they could get a pretty good haul. And I don't know how far down these teams are scouting. Are they scouting the Dominican League and the Complex League? I'm sure they are. I'm sure they have an idea because the Rangers have some prospects that are down there.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be a kind of an interesting thing because there still is the money factor that you got to think about. Because I don't think the Rangers just want one reliever. I think they want a couple. So to Blake's point, Griffin Jacks could be a hell of a setup guy, right?
Yeah.
Cade Smith from the Guardians could be a hell of a guy. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah. And the reality is, I think the fact that the Rangers need more than one reliever and the fact that every team that's trying to trade for guys essentially needs a reliever, makes this trade deadline to me feel like, and it goes back to one of the comments earlier in the chat. Can we see why? Please just let us know when it's going to happen. I think this is one of those years, Jeff. I think it's going down to the wire, right? Because you're going to have teams who have these key relief pieces going. Let's wait and see if we can get a better haul. Let's keep working it.
Yeah, and that's kind of I got this deal. These guys just what can you do this? Can you help us get there? And gosh, it's already Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. We're essentially
48 hours.
48, 49, 50 hours away.
5 o'clock. So I don't know, the 3.5 plus 48, 51.5. Does that work for you? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's happening. And, sometimes you try to strike early like the Rangers did, as Mista was saying, worked in 23, but sucked losing Cole Reagans. Yeah, but I'd rather have the World Series. But there are just some some things that, and you know you're making those trades. You know that the potential of what could happen. But to get a guy like Chapman at the time was like, oh, all right, that really help us.
Yeah.
And so you do it.
And
You do it though.
You do. You had to. And again, as it turned out, he didn't play. I mean, it's not like he didn't play any role. He didn't play nearly as significant a role in that whole stretch run and being the closer as I thought he would. Right.
Yeah.
Again, he had at that point, he was getting long in the tooth. He hadn't done, he hadn't done it on a consistent basis in a while. I think he did, if I remember correctly, the way he had a really good first half in Kansas City that year.
He did. And, because he'd had to sign a 1-year deal because he's kind of,
in that
showing some decline.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, this guy's going to be the closer, but they kept him as the setup guy.
Yeah.
And then Will Smith started to spit the bit, and so they tried Chapman, and then he started to spit the bit.
Yep.
Turns out he was dealing with some injuries at the time, and these guys don't admit it. And then when it came to the postseason, it was 3 batters and out. That was it.
Didn't matter when. Yeah.
And it seemed like one of them would always get on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a roll of the dice. Every player acquisition, whether it's a free agent signing or a trade, comes with risk. Even with the best player in the game, you're getting him. There's risk, the unexpected, whatever. So anyway,
well, and there's no better example of that than Joc Pederson, right? This was a signing, not a trade, but Joc Pederson. Who would have guessed there was this much risk? But here you go.
Yeah,
Baseball.
it just you kind of look at the signing and it's like, man, this guy tore it up last year. All he does is hit against right-handers, and all he does is DH. Rangers sure need a guy who can DH and hit fastballs, and they thought they had him, and right now they don't.
No, he sure doesn't look like that guy right now, that's for sure. So, the Rangers will continue, and we agree that the Rangers, several people in the chat saying that they also need a right-handed bat. They do. I did talk to Mike Bassick about this the other day, and we were, kind of going through it, and the way the lineup was going at the time. And again, Joc Pederson was not back yet. And the way the lineup was going at the time, we're going, where do you put that bat, right? Where do you put it? Now, right now, it'd be pretty easy to say you insert it for Joc Pederson. That's a pretty easy knee-jerk move. But even last week, when everybody was doing well and Higashioka was hobbled, it was still everybody was raking. It's like, where do you put that bat? So I don't know that it's as necessary as a closer, but in a perfect world, they would have that right-handed bat.
Yeah,
they haven't done well against lefties.
No,
I mean, they're starting to. Last couple of outings against them have been better.
Yeah, I think it would be really advantageous if this right-handed bat could also catch.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
This catcher's a delicate situation, and the Rangers have gotten by here fortuitously without Kyle Higashioka for basically a week, and that also tells you where the Rangers are if their catching depth. They need to get somebody, and remember 2 years ago, right before the hour before the deadline, they got old what's his name, catcher Austin Hedges.
Yeah, that's right.
Hedgie. And at the time Heim was kind of hurt. They weren't sure about what he was going to do going forward. But they managed with 3 catchers for the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when you can't have a bench of Rowdy Tellez / Joc Pederson and a catcher, you can't, and a fourth guy. You can't have a bench like that.
No. But,
the Rangers, if they could add a veteran guy and say, hey, go to the minors for a month. Once September 1st hits, you get that extra spot. They got to have somebody in the system that they trust who can come up and catch in case of an.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the question there about when is Boers coming back? We did mention this yesterday, and he may come back this year, but Keith Meister, as Jeff has found out, the Rangers orthopedist, has basically said he's not going to be Josh Sborz this year.
Yeah.
Even if he comes back and can pitch at the major league level, he's not going to have the velo back until next
year. Yeah, and Keith didn't tell me that. He told that to Josh, who then told me that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So don't want to violate. I think Keith's out there violating patient-client.
Okay. Yeah. Good point.
Patient doctor,
HIPAA rules,
all that crap. And again, it was 91, 92 the other day. Needs to get to like 94. If he could get it to 94, it's serviceable at that point. So I don't know how much or how soon he's going to be back. I mean, he's been on assignment for 2 weeks now. I'm sure he's due to pitch soon, maybe today. He needs to get a couple outings a week, continue to build the arm strength. And the thought was that, the adrenaline rush would help him pick up some velocity. I don't know that he's getting a lot of adrenaline out of a AAA crowd.
Right.
But, maybe a major league crowd adds a couple more, and maybe that's what the Rangers can bank on. But for right now, if you have visions of 2023 postseason Josh Sborz coming in on a stallion and saving the bullpen, you probably need to temper your expectations.
All right, we've got more coming up as we talk about where they go from here. It was only one game. It wasn't what we expected from Jacob deGrom, nor what he expected from himself. But what's next? We talk about that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Well, Dadgum and John, I forgot who I'm doing.
Saturday Neon.
Well, I love Saturday Neon. I don't know how I could forget that.
Yeah.
They're the branded bills of neon signs. Branded bills has deals in place with a lot of universities, including Texas and Texas Tech and TCU. Well, Saturday Neon has deals with almost 50 colleges and universities, including many from our area. Oh, it got changed. Well, anyway, SaturdayNeon.com. They're only $75, and they're so bright you're going to need a pair of Shady Rays.
You are. Shady Rays are the best. You've got to absolutely get yourself a pair of Shady Rays. They're indestructible. They're replaceable. They replace them for you. I've got 2 pair. I encourage you to get 2, 3, 4. They're really not that expensive, and you get 35% off if you use the code DLLS35 at ShadyRays.com. And also,
you're going to need those Shady Rays
for your trip.
To
Vegas.
Vegas.
It's always sunny in Vegas.
And you're always hungover. So you're going to need some sunglasses to help with the eyes. But here's the trip. You see it on the screen now if you're watching. If you're listening, listen up. It's the DLS road trip to Las Vegas. It was with our friends at True Fan Travel, which is not as easy to say as you'd think.
No.
But anyway, we're going to take over the strip with the Cowboys crew. We're staying at Mandalay Bay November 15th through the 18th. The Raiders game is the 17th. It's indoors, so it's going to be perfect conditions. You get game tickets, and you get these sweet parties, and you get to hang with Clarence, which is worth the price of admission itself. So truefantravel.com, and check it out. You don't have to be from DFW. You can be from anywhere in the country, and True Fan will help you out.
Yeah, we love True Fan, and we think that's going to be a super fun trip. All right, so, again, and I see Leon in there. Yeah, it was only one game, but it was the type of game we saw all too often when things were going bad, which is why I think there is a tendency to knee-jerk a little bit, right? But the words of Bruce Bochy are so wise in this situation, and I told you, you want more graphics. By God, we got more graphics. Here's Boch last night. Cat, good job. Look, I have a calm group out there, he says. They've been through a lot. They're not going to dwell on this. And I think that has become more and more true. Who did you say you were talking to? Was it Smith yesterday, Jeff, that said, no panic around here? And there hasn't been.
Yeah, there hasn't. And, and again, these guys it's an older roster. It really is. You talk about Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter a lot, but Marcus Simeon's been in the league a long time, longer than Corey Seager, in fact, by a hair. And deGrom is older. Evaldi's older. Patrick Corbin's been around a long time. And so you have these guys who have these experiences and understand what can happen in the course of a 162 game season. Patrick Corbin has shared with the team, he did it earlier. The 2019 Nationals started off something terrible, like 19-31 in their first 50 games. Well, guess what? They won the World Series.
Yeah.
So it just, you never know how a season's going to play out. And I think now the Rangers have struck on something. And yeah, last night's game, I don't necessarily agree with that observation from our buddy Leon. I didn't feel like that was a game that got away from them, or they let get away from them.
Yeah, they actually got
like,
it tied.
Yeah, but I feel like the Angels responded and played better.
They won.
They won the game. It wasn't handed
losing.
to them.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I can understand. You feel this great momentum, and you see the pitching matchup, and you think, oh my gosh, we're gonna beat the shit out of Jack Ohanowitz, and we got Jacob deGrom on the mound, and hello 7-game winning streak. Well, that's why you play the games. Tonight, Patrick Corbin, my guy, going up against Yusei Kikuchi, who was an all-star but did not pitch. And Kikuchi's really good at home.
More graphics.
Another graphic.
Yeah,
he's really good at home. It looks like he goes through great pain when he throws the ball, judging by that graphic.
Boy, look at that. Yeah.
And
is he right-handed and throwing left-handed? Is that why his left arm hurts so much? Good God.
The Rangers.
I love that shot.
The Rangers do need a right-handed batter for guys like Kikuchi, but you look at his whip, and that's an interesting number. He has struck out a lot of guys, but he's walked a lot of guys. Now the walks have gone down, let's say the last month, but I think he's susceptible, and the Rangers have always seemed to do okay. Going back to when he was with the Mariners. You look at Corbin, just steady Eddie. He's not going to strike out a lot of guys, but he's going to keep you in the ball game. And he's like the most, the way it was described to me, he's just like the easiest going guy. They don't have to, the coaches don't have to worry about him, if he's throwing or not, because he's out there doing it without anybody having to tell him or remind him. He's a fun guy, a funny guy, and I think, and I went into a conversation last week, over the weekend rather, with Ross Fenstermaker about what is Patrick Corbin going to get in free agency this year, and we actually arrived at the same number, 2 and 20. Maybe a little less if it's a 2-year deal. Corbin's making $1 million.
I know, that's the amazing thing.
And he's made a ton of money in the past. So maybe he seems like the kind of guy that's like, yeah, all right, I'm just having fun here. I don't need all that money.
And it's an investment in my future.
Yeah.
Now, to Ted's point, and I don't like the idea, but is it a good time to sell high?
I mean, if you're going to save a bucket of money, yeah, but
you're not.
But then you have 4 starters.
Right, that's the problem.
Who's your 5th guy?
Right. You don't have one.
Jake Latz?
I guess you'd try to move John Gray in.
John Gray, or you try to add a starter, but they're going to be more expensive than Corbin, and you're already up against it on the money. Now if the Rangers were selling, I bet Patrick Corbin he might have been traded already.
Yeah.
It's just been that good, and again, and it's not flashy, but he challenges hitters a lot of the times, and his pitch mix is good. It's not huge velocity, but he knows how to pitch, and it's pretty fun to see.
Yeah, it really is fun to see that. And we were talking yesterday about Jonah Heim and just how he had come through in the 9th inning to tie that game up on Saturday. And I said, I must admit, I sit there watching him in those situations, and especially lately, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I want him up in that situation. And you said, he kind of comes through in the call. I'll be darned if our buddy Sean McFarland, I almost called him Seth McFarland, our buddy Sean didn't come up with the stat that supports what your eyeballs told you. So since Jonah Heim, my God, look at the graphics. Since Jonah Heim had his first at-bat in the major leagues in 2020 for the Oakland Athletics until today, those are his numbers. In high leverage situations, OPS, that was. OPS in high leverage situations, 894. OPS in low leverage situations, 617. So he really does seem to have sort of that eye of the tiger, and he's the highest ranked catcher in Major League Baseball since then in those high leverage situations. So
that's interesting. He I think it was 21. He had, I think the Rangers played the Angels in consecutive series or something like that, once consecutive weeks, and he hit a couple homers off of Ohtani, including a grand slam here. And he, I was writing for a Japanese newspaper at the time, and apparently in Japan they started calling him the Ohtani Killer, and so they wanted me to write a story on the Ohtani Killer, and I don't think that Jonah really cared for that. But anyway, he does have a kind of a knack for it.
Yeah.
And it's strange, and but it's good, And he drove in a run last night, just putting a ball in play, a little blooper, And it could have been a big run had the Rangers gotten a guy on base in the ninth, looping a blast away is what they were. And but old man Kenley was pretty solid.
Yeah, he was pretty solid. That's another reason. Yeah, we brought his name up on the deal. But yeah, I can see though with Jonah, he's picturing some sort of Japanese monster movie, right? Where there's Ohtani and he's the big monster coming in to kill Ohtani. But and that is an interesting. I don't think we'd use that as a headline here anymore, would we?
Nah, probably not.
An Ohtani killer, or I guess we say he kills the Rangers. Do we still say that about like we used to? Like,
we're trying to be sensitive with the word kill.
Vlad Guerrero, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, John.
I don't know if we still
we need to toughen up.
Yeah, thicker skin would certainly help. But anyway, yeah. So
there was a question: do the Rockies have any relievers? And by gum, they sure do. I like Victor Vodnik, who throws really, really hard. He's a guy who would come with some control. I know some people have mentioned Jake Bird. I don't think Jake's having a great year, although I haven't looked at like park neutral numbers. And then Seth Halverson is their closer, whatever you want to say. I just wonder if these guys are young. Their first experience of baseball is Coors Field and a directionless franchise.
Right.
So maybe they, get a shot in the arm by coming to a team that's pretty solid. But those are that's like a Sam Dyson move. You know?
Right.
That Sam Dyson trade in 15, it was like right at the wire, and I'd never heard of him. No. I'd never heard of him, and he came from the Fish, and 3 minor leaguers. Tomas Telis was one of them, the catcher, and he and Diekman just changed that bullpen
100%
overnight, and then they were there the next year too, and Dyson became the closer. So that's kind of the thinking there is what I'm going after.
Yeah, and the reality is, any of those young guys that you're talking about, and we go back to Blake's point. I mean, none of those guys that you mentioned are coming in here to be a closer, right? But could be those support guys. But the reality is, any of them coming here, I mean, hell, and you're saying, oh, this guy isn't having a very good year. Patrick Corbin didn't have a good year last year.
He didn't have a good year the last 5 years.
He didn't have a good decade, right? Half a decade. So, but you get here and you get with Mike Maddox. That's one of the things that I think just changes everything for a pitcher. So, and to your point, especially when you're coming from Coors Field. Yeah. Where, it's just a bandbox and they just knock the ball around all over the place. Yeah. So, I definitely think that guys like that are in play. And yes, Mista, I do think Kyle Finnegan is in play. I think Kyle Finnegan's he is a rental, and I think Kyle Finnegan is a guy that's now sought after, right? I mean, I think that, that's one of those that's probably going to go down to the wire because they're not just going to give him away. They want to wait and maximize the return on him.
Yeah, I believe he's a native Texan as well. So maybe that's maybe he'd like to pitch in his home state. I don't know. And he's been off and on. You know, he pitched really well against the Rangers last year. I remember that.
I do too.
But he was a late signing. You know, he lingered into February. Didn't get a ton of money. Probably not what he's looking for. And the Rangers had the opportunity to sign him. So maybe there was something they didn't like. I don't know. But again, all these names are viable names. But there's going to be a name out there, a la Sam Dyson, that we're like, oh, okay. Don't know a lot about him. Welcome to the club.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. All right, we're going to clean this thing up next as we continue to get you ready for Game 2 between the Rangers and the Angels tonight. And we talk things happening around the world of baseball next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
So we still got that sale going on, right, John?
Yeah, we do.
The $36.
Yeah. It's the trade deadline sale.
That's right. It's also being billed as the training camp special, but by God, it's the trade deadline special, and you can find it by scanning the QR code there on the screen, or you can type in alldls.com/join. Again, and we talk about it every day, and we talk about it because we really like ourselves, but it's such good stuff, and I'm not talking about myself. Clarence is out there in Oxnard doing the Cowboys. Stars and Mavs are about to start, so Sam and Tim are getting busy, and then now that the Rangers are in the thick of it, looks like we might be traveling a little more.
Yeah, might have a little more fun.
I'm going to Seattle bright and early on the cheapest flight I could find. I hope Ben heard that. And so we're out here kicking ass and taking names, and you guys need to, if you're not a diehard yet, I know some of you in the chat are, we appreciate it. You need to become a diehard today.
Get yourself a free shirt when you do that too.
Yep.
I actually ordered some of the new ones, and the only one and when I did that, I ordered that the Rangers DLLS flag that I didn't have.
Oh.
That's the only one that arrived.
Oh, okay.
My new ones haven't made it yet.
I tell you what, I went to when I was on vacation, I went to the site to get the Nolan shirt.
Yeah,
and it said alert me when back in stock.
Okay,
so it might already be hot off the presses.
Maybe. And I was for sure one of the ones I ordered was Dallas versus all y'all.
I got that one. That was a comp shirt.
And I'll be danged if that they didn't alert me, so I don't know if it's out of stock already too. But anyway, hopefully I'll get that one soon. And I can't. The other one was the one that looks like the that barbecue sign. Yeah. So anyway, we love it. Store.allcitynetwork.com. Let's get to the cleanup segment.
Okay.
And let's talk about the sad news of last night. It came down just before the Rangers game. After he had been remembered and beautifully recalled on Hall of Fame Day, Ryan Sandberg finally succumbed to cancer last night. And to me, in many ways, because of WGN and the proliferation of how we all just watched, I mean, people are at my age and your age and even a little younger than you, we watched Cubs baseball all the time.
Yeah.
And Ryan Sandberg was not only a great player, but you could just tell with that smile and that enthusiasm, and he was just a joy.
Yeah. My coming of age sports year was 84. That was the year that Georgetown won the national title.
Yeah.
And then we had WGN, TBS, and WOR on our cable system. And that just happened to be the year that the Cubs won the National League East.
Yeah.
And Ryan Sandberg was the MVP, the National League MVP. He had 19 triples. Just did it all. 30 stolen bases. He was clearly the MVP. Great defensive player. And my sister had a crush on him.
Of course.
And I became a Rick Sutcliffe guy because of what he did after the trade deadline, coming in there and shoving for them and with the crazy delivery. But Ryan Sandberg was the man.
He really was
on that team, and for many years he was a Gold Glove winner perennially. Same thing with the All-Star team, in the Hall of Fame, and like no doubt Hall of Famer. And this is one that really hits close to home. My sister was saddened by it. My Aunt Lynn just sent us all a text that said, "I'm thinking for you guys, thinking of you guys in this time, because Ryan Sandberg has passed." It's a big deal, and you're right. It's because of WGN.
Sure,
it really is. And like I'm a Dale Murphy fan because we watched a ton of Braves games too.
TBS,
yeah. And those weren't great Braves teams. Those are after the division winners.
That was before that was before the Smoltz and
he didn't win the MVPs in the years that we were watching on cable. But and that's how I became a Dwight Gooden fan on WOR, because they had the Mets games.
Yeah.
So it's just this one hit pretty hard.
Yeah, it was a very sad day in baseball, and obviously, a very sad day in Chicago. So we were, hold a good thought for, and it's, the whole cancer thing. I mean, several of the time, cancer sucks tweets that came along with it. I mean, that's just, it's still an ongoing battle in our medical industry.
They thought he had beat it, and it comes back. It's not a fun one.
No, and you see some of the video of him, I think within the last year or two, where he came back after some of the chemo treatment, and just, God bless him, didn't even look like him, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just so it not only takes you, but kind of ravages you in the meantime. So very sad day there. Now on to some of the things that are happening relative to the trade deadline, including a trade that's already been made, and I'm sure you saw it over the weekend, but Josh Naylor was traded from the Diamondbacks to the Seattle Mariners, who, of course, the Rangers will see starting Thursday. And I'll be damned if Josh didn't haul off and hit his first home run for the Mariners last night, Jeff.
Well, he's playing in a minor league park.
Yeah.
Ball
flies out.
Although the last score I saw was 3-1, so it's not like it was 15-7.
No, and I think that's what the final was, actually.
Yeah. Well, he'll do that. He'll run into some balls and hit it out. And I'm sure that he will help make the Mariners better. But again, you just got to account for that ballpark. And so they could add Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle, and I still don't think they'd have a good offense.
Right. That might be stretching it. Actually.
No, I'm not. No, I think I'm right. I just think that place is where offense goes to die.
Yeah. That's definitely been said about that place many times before. So yeah, let's see if Josh Naylor can run into quite as many when they're there.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
And we know they're obviously their whole focus is that they'd like to improve the offense, and that's what they need to do in any way possible. That said, I'm not sure that they're in on the other Diamondbacks star that's out there for trade possibilities. And that is, as we mentioned yesterday, Suarez, who they're in Detroit, the Diamondbacks. And I don't know. I didn't see who the damn relief pitcher was in there for the Tigers.
It was Will Vest.
Will Vest is a good one, too. So Will Vest is in there, and upper management's just got to be pissed at him. We're trying to trade for this guy, and you hit him in the 9th inning? Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. That Will Vest hit Suarez with a pitch in the 9th inning of the game last night, and the Tigers won. I think it was their second win in a row, but it's only their third since before the break. I mean, the only other win they had was the game against the Rangers there when Tarek Skubal pitched. But the Tigers are definitely trying to be in on Suarez. I think the Mariners would love to get in on him too, as well as others.
Maybe that's their thinking. They break his finger, and his price drops, and then they swoop in and get him for the final 5 weeks. Let's say,
and we've got a great finger guy.
That's right. That's right. I mean, Detroit's well known for its finger specialists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, they hit him. That wasn't wise. But hear Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly are also on the trade block. And look, the Diamondbacks are 51-55, Jeff.
Yeah.
And again, not very long ago, the Rangers weren't far from being 51 and 55. No, they got it turned around before ever getting to a point like that. But think about that. And I don't think the Rangers would have done this kind of a sell-off. But when you think about the team that the Diamondbacks had just 2 years ago, and again, the team that the Rangers had just 2 years ago, they were both in the World Series as wild card entrants in the playoffs that year. And now the Diamondbacks, if they're able to make these deals, decimated, man, completely started over.
Yeah, and they were going to have, I think, trouble re-signing Gallen anyway. They signed Corbin Burns, and hopes were high, and it just didn't happen. And while let's take the Angels. The Angels are 52 and 55. The Diamondbacks are 51 and 55 or 56.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're both fourth in their division. Now the teams ahead of the Diamondbacks are the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants.
Right.
And in the National League, the team that doesn't win the East, either the Phillies or the Mets, is going to be a wild card. That's a hell of a wild card team.
Yeah.
You think the Cubs are probably going to make it, but Cubs are Brewers. They're
both hot.
They're both hot. Two best records in the league, I think, and so one of them's going to be a wild card. So then the Padres, a third wild card. You have some real ground to gain if you're the Diamondbacks.
That's right.
Whereas the Rangers,
they're
a half game out of the wild card. They were just tied for it yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think
again, they're five over now too.
Yeah, the quality of the league though is kind of making helping force the Diamondbacks' hands.
Yeah, no doubt that factors into it. But it is it's stark though to think that a team that was in the World Series 2 years ago is basically in such a sell mode. And I know there were a lot of Ranger fans who were thinking the Rangers should sell everybody. And we knew that wasn't going to happen. That's just not the way Chris Young operates. But I think they would have sold more in certain situations.
Yeah. These relievers on 1 year deals. Milner,
Adolis would have been a lot more.
Would have been definitely traded. I think John Gray probably would have been traded. Situations like that. But now, and Ken Rosenthal wrote this, and it's kind of what we said yesterday. If the Rangers are, why trade those two guys? I know you'd be getting some money, but would you be hurting your team?
Right.
And Ken was kind of like, yeah, you would be. So it kind of defeats the purpose of adding at the trade deadline if you're trading two guys who've contributed. I know Adolis kind of had a crap play there, and that led to deGrom's demise. I wonder if something's going on there in right field. I mean, Campero should have caught that ball.
He should have, and he had it in his glove. I wonder if there's a lighting issue.
Well, he closed his eyes when he caught it.
Campero did?
His eyes were closed.
Okay,
and maybe that was just, I don't know. Oh, I got it. All right, but there are some light issues at various ballparks depending on how. Like if you have a low bank of lights, like even at our place, Shin-Soo Choo used to have trouble. That 1 year he played no fans were there, so maybe not a lot of people saw it, but there was a lower bank of lights that really hampered Choo, and I think you see Adolis. It happens to Adolis on occasion too. But anyway, Adolis has been an awesome defender this year.
He has.
His offense has come around since the start of June. He hasn't been great coming out of the break, but, I'd rather have Adolis up there than Joc Pederson.
Yeah, and 27 outfield assists since 2021, I think it is. By far the most in baseball.
Yeah, I don't know why teams keep running on him. It happened the other night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, and that was a big situation. It was the first inning, and you cut down that run, you end up winning by one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's and 2 outs. We asked Bochy was asked about it. Are you surprised that teams still run on Garcia? And he's like, well, that was 2 outs. He was kind of moving toward the line a little bit. It made sense, and Bochy said that Beasley probably would have made the same mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. That's a day. That went quick.
It did.
I think it's the graphics that make it fly by. They really do. So hope you enjoyed them as much as we did. We'll have lots more graphics for you as well as baseball talk tomorrow night. We're on postgame tomorrow, so stay up late with us, won't you? Watch. In fact, Jeff will be joining us from Seattle. Kat and I will be at our respective houses, and we'll be, we call that a StreamYard show. We'll be all over StreamYard, and we hope you'll be with us tomorrow night on the next edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.